This is GrantTalk, hosted by Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of Grantwatch and author of The Queen of Grants.
Hello, everybody. I'm Libby Hikind, and I'm the founder and CEO of GrantWatch.com, and I'm also the author of The Queen of Grants, From Teacher to Grant Writer to CEO. And I'm here today as the host of GrantTalk. And sitting with me remotely is Dina Ray from the But God Ministries, and she is a subscriber to Grantwatch, and we have been told that she won a grant that she found on Grantwatch. We want to speak with Dina today and find out about her grant writing process and her organization and the people that she serves. So let's get right to it. Hi, Dina. Thank you for joining
Hey,
us.
thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell us, what does your organization do?
Well, But God Ministries works in sustainable community building. We started our work in Haiti in 2011 after the earthquake took place there in 2010. And we still work in Haiti today, even as difficult as it is. But in 2016, we also took the model that we had replicated in Haiti and brought it to Mississippi, which was the home state of our founder, Stan Buckley. And brought the motto that we crafted there, which is called SPEARS, and it stands for spiritual, we're a Christian organization, physical, which is medical and dental, H2O, so clean water, education, roofs or affordable housing, and economic development is the next E, and so jobs, and the last S is soil or access to healthy food. So if you think about the social determinants of health, we're basically working in all the social determinants of health that make a community a healthy community, plus add the addition of spiritual and healthy food as well. So that's what we do.
So you're working in two countries right now. And how many people in your organization?
There's 22 local Mississippi staff, and then in Haiti we have about 170 employees.
Wow. And today, what's happening?
In Haiti
Oh,
or
yeah. In
everybody.
Haiti.
Haiti is very difficult right now. It's really dissolved into chaos in a lot of places. We're very fortunate, though, that throughout this past couple of years, as it's been under such madness with the legal system and their leadership falling apart, that the gangs have left the schools alone, and we have 7 schools there. So we still are educating 2,000 children a day who are also getting to eat every day, and we're still giving medical care there. We're still following our spheres. So things look different, and we've been fortunate to see our Haitian employees really step up into leadership because there's no Americans there anymore. We don't have people coming on mission trips anymore. So it's been a challenge, but the work is still going on actually, and people are still becoming educated. That's probably the biggest thing that has continued in spite of the chaos.
That's
In the
unreal.
U.S.,
It's unreal when I watch the news that the
yeah,
people are still being educated today.
it really is. But of course, they've lived in chaos, what we would consider chaos, for a very long time. So they're a very resilient group of people. It's amazing to me that they can continue forward in such challenges,
Right.
but they're used to that. And educating a child is a life-changing opportunity. So we're hopeful for the future in spite of the chaos.
I hope so too. And you've won a grant that you found on GrantWatch. You want to tell
Yes.
us about that?
Sure, I've actually won more than one grant, but today from your website.
Oh, then we
Um,
want to hear about all of them.
yeah,
This
well,
is the day
uh,
to tell us.
okay, so I had one that I wanted to highlight in particular because I wasn't looking for it per se, and found it because of the way I searched. So I wanted to mention that. This was with the Community Affordable Housing Equity Corps, or CAHEC, is the organization that gave us a $10,000 grant for wheelchair ramps. So I was actually looking for housing, and they do housing in some of their work, but the grant was actually for home repairs of different types. And one of the benefits of working in an area where we work in 7 very diverse areas is that I look for grants several times a week, because I could be writing a grant for education or medical care or housing or farming or any number of things. So I often find grants when I'm not looking for that thing. Something will pop up, and that's so I always tell people to search multiple terms, and don't always lock into, like, if you do education, don't just search for education, because you may find something under a different title for preschoolers or for out of school youth, or any number of different ways that you can slice and dice the information, and you may pick up something different because of how the search engines work.
That's a great piece of advice. Listeners, take notes, because I always say, if you walk into a dress shop and you know exactly in your mind what that dress has to look like, you're not going to find it. But if you're
Right.
open, right? If you're open-minded and you
Yeah.
think, well, okay, we're looking for education, but I see something for seniors, and I can join that as an intergenerational grant between my preschoolers and the seniors. Wow, I have a new program, and that's something we were thinking of doing. But you weren't looking at this moment for that, but it just popped up. You have to apply when the grants are out there.
Right. And that changes every day. So if you're not
Yes.
looking at once a month, you might miss something great.
We add new grants every day, so yes, you're going to miss something great. And we never know when we find them. Sometimes we find a grant and we have a 3-month leeway. Sometimes we just find it and we're saying, should we post it? It's due in a week. Yes, because there are some people that really want it, want to
Yes.
apply.
And I will tell you that I've applied, because I've applied to a lot more than I've actually won on your site as well. And people get discouraged by that, but it's kind of like a 4-to-1 pipeline. You have, for every 4, you might get 1, and the more you do, the better you get at it. But I've applied to a lot that were at the last minute, and so I didn't know about it until that moment. However, now I do know about it.
Right.
So now, once I find out about them, I'll put them on my calendar for the next year to start looking at that time that I know it's going to come up. And so I would always post those from your end, because you never know what might happen in the future because you did post it.
That's right. Well, we do. And there's about 1,000 new grants every week that are posted, because they come due. They expire, and we have to take them down. Got to keep going and keep going. And I'm glad you're watching. And we send you lots of emails, right?
Yes. And I love those emails, because it's kind of like cuts to the chase of a lot of things that I might not have to dig as deep to find. And it just keeps that up on top of mind. So when it comes into my box, I always look. And another tip that I'd say of the way I do that is, I'll go through, and all the ones on your email that look of interest to me, I will write the numbers down on a separate piece of paper, so that once I get to Grant Watch, I don't have to go back and forth and figure out which one it was. I just put in all the different numbers of the ones that I thought looked good for me.
Let me tell you a trick.
Okay.
Okay. If you're logged into GrantWatch,
Uh-huh.
and now you click any grant in the email, it will go
Uh-huh.
it will go right to GrantWatch and open up.
Well, I did know that, but then what happens is I'm stuck on that one grant, and I have to go back to get the other information.
Okay. And now in my account, underneath
Uh-huh.
my account, if you click that, it says view my grants, or
Uh-huh.
my grants viewed, something like that. And there's a list of every grant ID number that you looked at.
Oh, good.
So-
Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah, if you go through a list today and you say, I wasn't going to do this one, but I think I can do it, right? You can just go back there and you'll find it.
Good
Okay.
to know. Thank you.
And now everybody else knows too. So that's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so tell us about the grant that you did win.
Well, the one we did win was for wheelchair ramps. And so
Who funded it? Who's the funder?
oh, it's the organization I mentioned earlier, CAHEC,
Okay.
Community Affordable Housing Equity Corps. Um, they funded the grant. They had never funded anything for us before, so that was very exciting for us every time we get a new funder. Um, we already were building wheelchair ramps. So that was a nice thing for us because it wasn't something that we had to then figure out, well, how are we going to make that happen? Because we have mission teams that come visit us all the time in Jonestown, Mississippi, where we work in the Mississippi Delta. And a lot of teams have builders on the team, people that like to do construction type projects. So we already had the plans for what is usually done when we have a team like that. So it was really didn't even take that long for me to put it together because I knew we had the info. I did
Right.
have to reach out to my coworkers to put it all together, but now we have a budget for it.
And you also got something from First Horizon?
Yes, First Horizon has been giving us funding for about 4 years now. It's it's about $1,000 each time. Sometimes it's been 1,500, and it's for education for our Montessori school that we have in Jonestown, Mississippi. But it's opened up, a door to a relationship there, and they've continued to support us. And they wouldn't have had I not seen them on Grantwatch and applied.
So you're with us quite a long time.
Yes, I've been one of your subscribers for about 5 years.
Wow. Okay. Well, we thank you. Now, tell us, how is it that First Horizon keeps giving you money every year? Because this is something that I really want to emphasize, excuse me, with our listeners. Because once you get a grant, just don't, okay, we got the money, keep in touch,
hmm
right? So how did you do that?
Well, we stay in touch with them. Whenever somebody has been a supporter of ours, we let them know what we're doing and we keep in touch about the project. In fact, I reached out to Community Affordable Housing Equity Corps to let them know I was going to be on your podcast, and that I was going to talk about them. So that that was exciting to them to know that their grant was going to be discussed. So I think staying in touch is very key. Some organizations want to be more involved than others, but anyone that has a grant line, they're by nature of the fact that it's a fund set aside for grants, they have to give that money away every year. And typically their funding parameters don't change that much.
Right.
So as long as they know you're doing good work and you stay in touch with them and you let them know what's happening and you update them on what you're doing, we also will send our annual report to the people that have contributed to us in that way. And so it's not a given. We still apply every year, but I've found a lot of success with repeat supporters for programs that are ongoing.
And you can let them know that we would be more than glad to have them as a guest on Grant Talk.
Okay,
I think it's very
I will.
interesting for people to realize what what does a funder look for? What are they looking
hmm
for when they see your grant application? It gives you more guidance as to how to write it. So,
Right.
what tips would you give a nonprofit that's looking for grants?
Well, one thing I always tell people is if it doesn't fit what you're doing, other than what we discussed already, like looking, thinking outside the box in
Right.
ways to utilize a grant that might work, don't waste your time on those that don't fit what you're doing. Because I find that a lot of people get very frustrated because they think that this organization that does exactly or supports exactly what they're doing should also support them in Mississippi and they're in Arizona. Well, they're not going to, unless they say they support nationwide projects, they're not going to. So don't waste your time on that. That was set up to support that community where they're located.
Right.
So I think,
A whole chapter. Check your eligibility.
yes,
Right in here.
yes. A lot of people waste time getting too excited about thinking it's a perfect fit without really checking the eligibility requirements first. So that's one of the things I always do immediately is I check the eligibility. Um, Also, if you have a way to check, which I'm fortunate that I do, and to check what they have given in the past. And even if you don't have other search engines that give you that information, you can get it on a 990. So if
You
you,
know, you've been with us a while, but you may not have seen the things that changed. The 990 reports are on GrantWatch.
oh, good, okay, I did not know
Yeah.
that. But so you can pull up a 990 within GrantWatch then and check what they have, what the amounts that they give,
Yes, there's a
because,
button. There's a button there that says View 990. So if we have the 990 from them,
okay,
it'll uh, click into there. Now, sometimes we have more information than others because it depends what 990 report they had to submit.
uh huh,
There are different letters from the IRS. And we have a list of the organizations that they funded and the amounts. And sometimes it also tells us what the purpose is. I mean, if it says
okay,
general support, we really don't
uh-huh,
know. It
right.
depends how detailed they filled out their 990 report, but it's there so you can get that idea of, well, if they only give 10,000, don't ask for 50, right?
Right,
And if they give hundreds of thousands, don't ask for 10.
right, right. And a lot of people don't think about that until they're in the grant, and then they think, "Well, I don't know how much to ask them for." So that's another important piece of information. And then I would say always try to connect. They don't always want to connect. I've had a lot of funders that give us money that really just they just don't, that's not their thing. They don't want to connect. But then there's others that are very, very involved. So always attempt to, because it never hurts to be connected on a bigger level to the funder.
I like the idea of sending pictures back, pictures that you have permission to
Hmm.
send, and so that they can actually see the work that they do. Because this grant talk has really opened my eyes to all the great work my staff does. I know that they're great, but here it is,
Yeah,
and then we find out, well, now people have wheelchair ramps, right?
yeah,
And it just goes on as to what we can do with with grant funding. So let's tell the funder, what they did, put a face to it.
right.
So what
And
the First Horizon, when you got the money, what was it used for?
it was used to support our Montessori
Oh,
school.
right, we said that.
And it supported the salaries for the teachers. There's 7 teachers at the school, and they are all local to that community, which is a challenged community in the Delta of Mississippi. So they not only have a job, but they're educating the youngest, most vulnerable kids in that community. So that's what it was used for.
When I was a preschool teacher many, many years ago, um, we didn't have funds, and I read about Montessori at that point. It was part of my special ed training.
Uh huh.
We were cutting sandpaper letters and pasting
Uh
them on,
huh.
on cardboard and wood, and that's how we had the Montessori alphabet.
Really?
Nowadays, I mean, it's all probably part of many of the preschool suppliers, right?
Uh huh.
But we did it ourselves because we had no money, but we still taught that
Yeah.
way.
Well, it's very impactful, and especially for kids who, you know, prematurity is makes it more challenging for preschoolers, and this area has high prematurity rate as well. So it's very important for all kids, but especially ones who might be behind the 8 ball to begin with,
Right, to have
to
that
get that
tactile
kind of training. Yeah.
experience. Yeah, that is. And what about, do you have a parenting component in your Montessori school?
Well, we have a lot of parent interaction meetings and things. Like we have a medical clinic there in town, and a dental clinic, and a economic development center, and a housing program, and all these other components. And so we will have meetings with parents sometimes to talk about dental hygiene, for example, and care like that. So that's usually how we pull the parents in from the Montessori.
Mhm.
But we work with all ages in the community. So from the littlest to the oldest, with all the different things that we do.
I usually find bringing parents in when there's something being served helps a great deal. I'm sure you do that as well, right?
Mhm.
Okay, if you could have one wish for your organization right now, what would it be?
General money. That's the biggest challenge that I see as a someone who's funding so many different kind of things, because it's I understand the mindset of a lot of funders that they want to be very specific
Right.
with the funding. But even if it was general education or general housing, but general is the best, because then as we grow and as we have opportunities, we have the opportunity to use that funding in whatever way makes sense for our organization. So I would say my dream would be for more funders to
The
want to look for,
general operating support category?
yes, general operating support, that maybe look for, hey, we want to see how solid your organization is. Give us examples of things you've done, but we're just looking to fund good organizations with general funding.
Right, and let you know from within what programs and where you need the money to go. I hear you.
Yes.
So how does anybody reach you?
Well, they can reach me at Dina Ray, Dinaray, at butgodministries.com, or 601-613-5416. We've would love to have donors and funders from all over the country. We have people from all over the country that come to the Delta and work with us and the community, and so we welcome anybody that wants to be a part of it.
And what's your website?
It's www.butgodministries, ButGodministries.com. And there, all of our work is on there, so you can read all about it.
And you're a faith-based ministry.
Yes,
Okay, faith-based nonprofit.
we are.
And what happens when another faith, person of a different faith needs your help?
We that really is not a part of our decision making process in terms of helping people. We have Now we live in the South, so a lot of people in the South tend to be from similar backgrounds, but we work with anybody in the community that needs our help. We're geographically focused, so
Mhm.
we are focused on Jonestown, Mississippi, a small community in the Mississippi Delta, and then, of course, our facilities in Haiti. But in terms of the kind of person we would help anybody.
What's your least favorite part of grant writing?
I don't like all those charts and like the logic model. I hate the logic model. Um, I'm sure somebody thinks it's logical, but to me, it seems more like an illogical model, personally, because they're trying to force you to think about certain outcomes, but in a lot of ways, I feel like when you're doing the work, the outcomes are there. You don't need to, craft all the steps. I guess that's more important maybe in research work, where you have a certain amount of outcomes that you're hoping to achieve, but you haven't achieved yet. But I don't really like those. I would rather tell the story and talk to somebody on paper about what the work is versus putting together a lot of models.
Right. Well, I guess it's going to get easier because we now have AI, and maybe
Yes,
it can help you with your logic model. I'm not sure. But you definitely have passion for the work that you do, and that's important. And telling
yes.
the story is very important. And I'm glad you got to tell your story today. What's
Thank
the title there?
What?
What's your title?
I'm the director of development. So I'm kind of a one man band. I mean, I don't just write grants, I do a lot of stuff,
Okay.
every kind of fundraising.
And you do a lot of coalitions?
Well, we have a lot of partners. So in some respects, I'd say they're kind of like informal coalitions. But we have a lot of MOUs with various groups that we do work with. Um, but I'm not sure coalition is really the right word, but I have noticed lately a lot more of that seems to be everybody's gravitating towards that. They want to see multiple partners in your grant work.
Well, if you have an MOU, let's just tell our listeners, is a memorandum of understanding. And it's kind of a unofficial contract, kind of something like that, where each party says what they're going to do for the other so that you work together. And I call that a kind of coalition because you're working together. And I always say, if you're applying for a grant, you're checking the eligibility. If it's really what you want to do, but you're missing a component, go down the road to the next nonprofit that does that and see if you can do a memorandum of understanding and apply for the grant together. I think that that's a good way to expand those dollars that you need and go after them.
Right. I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to thank you. Our time is up.
Thank you.
I would love to spend the whole day with you because
Thank
you
you.
really meet the challenge. I wish you to go from strength to strength and just continue to win those grants and fund your organization and help people. And if anybody wants to reach out to Dina Ray, go ahead to her website and let her know because they need the help, especially in Haiti right now.
Yes, Haiti, and I would, it's a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to fund Haiti. It's in such chaos. Well, they need us the most now. We're not abandoning ship because it's difficult. We are fortunate to have the people on the ground and trustworthy people that are executing the work to still get the work done in the midst of chaos. But they're hungry, they're starving, they need a lot right now, and we're still funding that work.
I'm glad you're doing it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Grant Talk, powered by Grantwatch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to all your local podcast feeds today.